RE3Volve Podcast. This is a very special episode. My daughter Karys came on to have a legacy conversation about grief from her perspective. It turned into something a little bit bigger than I anticipated. And honestly, it was quite a beautiful conversation. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I was fighting for my life. And so I want to invite you to watch part one of this episode. Definitely comment, share your thoughts and ideas about what you heard. I hope y'all enjoy. In the meantime, keep choosing healing, keep choosing joy. I love y'all. Bye. Hey, y'all. This is Dr. Lala. Welcome back to another episode of the RE3Volve Podcast. This is the space where believers meet at the intersection of grief, loss, and transition to explore how faith and therapy help along the way, because grief and loss are a journey, not a final destination. Y'all, this is a special episode. I'm so excited today because today is our first legacy conversation. And when I start talking about legacy, you know, we've had conversations before about what it looks like to heal for the people who love us, right? And so that we can give them the tools and the tips and the things that they need in order to heal well, in order to grieve well. I've said many times that a part of generational wealth is our mental well-being. Right. And so that's what these conversations are about, so that we can have conversations from the next generation's perspective. And so, again, this is a very special episode to me because my baby girl is here. This is my daughter, Karys. Karys, welcome to the RE3Volve Podcast. She is actually also my producer. So I'm very, very excited to have her here with me today and for us to have this conversation, because Karys has been with me every step of the way. She's been here for the entire grief and loss journey, actually, right? And so this is really about her being able to share her perspective and to give some insight from her purview, considering all the things that she's seen and experienced since a little one. Because even from the time with my last two pregnancies, Karys was right there with me. So, and there are many, many things that she remembers. So this is so we can explore how children experience grief, what they notice, what they feel but don't say, what helps them to feel safe, how grief has shaped their identity. And so, Karys, welcome. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's early.
Yeah, it's definitely early, and I bet it's different being on this side of the camera, huh?
Oh, definitely. Like, I keep looking down at the screen like I'm supposed to be talking to them.
Well, that's something we have to work at. I'm so glad to have you here with me. Thank you for taking on this task with me. I'm really glad to have you here. And so I want you to feel free to be honest, give your thoughts and opinions. And so we can really talk about what it was like for you in our season of grief, because a lot of that started when you were kind of young. So what was that like for you? What do you remember?
I remember a lot. I remember times where I felt hopeless. I remember times of when I was just generally confused because I was so young. So I genuinely did not have the emotional or intellectual intelligence to be able to comprehend what was happening to those around me and myself.
Right. So when would you say those feelings were things that you started to really notice? Because I know with when baby brother passed away, you still have some memories about that. So when you say that there were times when you felt hopeless and you were confused, was that from as far back as then, or was that more so when Nani passed away and the B-Day passed away?
I would say even when I was younger and when baby brother had died, I would say it definitely started then, of just feeling like there was never going to be anything that came of good in our world.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously it's all like the world is one big hive mind almost. And so obviously we all go through things, but of course you're yourself. And so you're going to be like, my world.
Mm-hmm.
And so in your head, like, you're Barbie. And so for me, like, it was like nothing good was ever happening to Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what, like, I compared it to growing up, Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you've watched Barbie 2012, you'll know that she was constantly like, oh, Barbie's world.
Mm-hmm.
So watching that, it was like, well, Karys' world isn't having all this good stuff like Barbie's world is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is not my world.
Mm-hmm.
And so just feeling like it was hopeless and that I'd never be able to attain the dreams and goals that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that your dream and goal was to have another baby.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you couldn't, and you're the strongest person I know, why would I be able to?
Oh, wow, that's a lot. To have that thought that nothing good was going to be able to happen to you because mommy was going through so much. That is a lot to carry. And so, was there ever a time when that started to transition? Like when you didn't feel that way? Was it just one of those things where you always felt that way? Or do you have moments where were there times when those feelings would like come and go?
I think it depends because there are definitely times that I did just feel like there was no other option and that it was like that. But on the other side of the spectrum, I was genuinely like nothing good is ever going to happen. And it would flip-flop because obviously we all go through good seasons in life, but we weathered a lot of bad. We weathered a lot of bad. And I would take those moments of happiness when I could. But honestly, in order to get out of that, I had to choose. Like, at what point do you have to choose? Because, I mean, you can't be mad it's raining when you keep making clouds. And so for me, it had to be a choice. Something I was intentional about. To choose to have joy, to choose to be happy, and to choose to not allow the things that have went on, not only to me, but the people that I love and the things around me, to affect my internal joy.
Wow. So you had to choose joy because there was so much going on. And I agree. So just for context for the people who are watching, we went through a season there where I had 2 miscarriages, 2 second trimester miscarriages when Karys was around 4. And then her baby brother passed away. And then not a year later, my dad passed away. And then he passed away in an accident. And then because Karys was also very present and participated in taking care of my mom with me and my siblings. And then my mom passed away suddenly. And then in that same time frame, Karys's dad and I got a divorce. So when she says there was a whole lot going on, there was a whole lot going on. And all of that went on in a span of, I don't know, I'm going to say from 2014 to 2020. All of those things happened. And so it was a lot, guys. It was a lot. And so, like I said, coming from her perspective, because that would have put her, when I had the first miscarriage, that would have put her around 4, I guess, 3 or 4. And the fact that she remembers my pregnancy and all of the issues that I had, because I did have a lot. And then with baby brother, her remembering the challenges that I had with baby brother. And when he passed away, I can see how, as a little one from the ages of 4 until 9, how it could feel as though good things just weren't going to happen for us. So that's a lot. That's a whole lot. to even be able to express that. So I'm fighting for my life
Don't
already,
cry,
guys.
Mama, don't cry.
I am fighting for my life already, because these are conversations, and we've had a lot of these conversations throughout the years. There are things that I'm still learning even now that I was not aware of. And, there were things that she was aware of that I was trying to protect her from, that I'm even now finding out that she knew. And so for that season, what were some of the things that you noticed that most people don't think children notice?
I would definitely say I noticed like a lot of absent-mindedness.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, you could tell that you were going through the motions. Like, you weren't living life. You were just alive in life. And I feel like there's a really big difference between the two, because being alive is to do what you enjoy. It is to do what you want to do. It is to do what needs to be done. And then just to be alive in life is to do what must be done. And with the way that you were functioning, there was no more than what absolutely needed to be done. And what needed to be done only pertained to me, not to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely noticed that. I noticed that there were a lot of instances where you would just break down. You would be nonverbal at times. Honestly, I think there was like a few days where like we just didn't speak, and we just knew based off of like each other's body language to, oh, hey, it's time to eat. Oh, hey, it's time to da 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 da. Mm-hmm. There were days where like we didn't talk at all. Mm-hmm. And then there were days where it just felt as though the lights were on, but nobody's home. No, like, actually, like, it's like sometimes, like, I would say something, or like, I would ask you to do something, and you'd be like, yeah. And then you stay right there, and then I'd be like, so, like, can I get that water bottle? Because I'd be like, hey, can I get a water bottle? And you'd be like, yeah, I'll hand it to you. And then you stay there, and then like 5 minutes go by. So like, can I get that water bottle? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so there would just be times where like you'd be so in your head, you forget what was going on around you. Mm-hmm. And so I noticed that, and then just like even like the self-deprecation of it all, because you didn't speak highly of yourself. Mm-hmm. You either didn't speak about yourself at all, or you didn't speak highly when you did. Mm-hmm. And so just noticing that, I would say that it was definitely something that I did notice. Mm-hmm.
So you primarily noticed that I essentially focused all of my energy on you, and when I did pay attention to myself, it was in a negative light. I can see that there was a lot going on, and I'll be honest, to hear that is a little bit painful. But at the same time, it's the truth. And, as I've shared many times here, when my mom passed away, there were also some other things going on with my marriage. And I was just trying to hold it together. I'll be honest. I can be honest. And I was beating myself up a lot about some of the things that had transpired in that season. I'll be honest, I didn't realize that it was to the extent that it apparently was. But I'm sure there is some truth to what she's saying, because I'll be honest, I've shared with you guys before, there were days when I would lose complete blocks of time. Like I've shared before, there was this one day when I was sitting at the kitchen table and I remembered getting her out the door to school. And when I came to myself, I had been sitting there all day. And I distinctly remember Holy Spirit telling me, you've got to get up. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your baby. You've got to get up. And that's literally what made me snap out of it. And it was still a work in progress. I did a lot of therapy. We were in therapy. We were in therapy because there was a lot going on. And I think it's important to make that distinction when we're talking about these things, because children do notice. And sometimes they notice things that we don't think they're noticing. And even when we're trying to hide things from them, because there was so much I tried to hide from Karys.
Yeah.
I tried to hide everything from her.
Yeah, she tried to Sherlock Holmes me. I'm not gonna lie, like, you really did. You tried to Sherlock Holmes me. But I'm nosy. And so I was all like, even if I wasn't aware of it at the time, like, I was gonna figure it out because of the sheer nosiness I had when I was a kid. And I continue to have sometimes now.
Maybe just a little bit.
Nosy Rosie.
Maybe just a little bit. And so she's always been very, very perceptive as well. Always. And so you were saying that even if you didn't know, you were going to do whatever it took to know.
Oh,
you were going to find out.
Yeah.
Were there things that you felt, but you didn't have word for at the time?
For sure. I would definitely say, like, melancholy. A lot of people think that, like, melancholy is, like, a nice word because, like, how it sounds when it rolls off the tongue. A lot of people actually think that has a positive connotation to it, but that's not melancholy. Melancholy is quite literally not a positive connotation. But I definitely felt a lot of melancholy. This might be a time to pull out your dictionaries, friend. But I felt melancholy. I felt an unnerving sense of unease. Like, I just constantly felt like there was something going on that I didn't know. And it was affecting me, but I couldn't find the source. And that really bothered me as a kid because I genuinely just wanted to understand why. Growing up undiagnosed, I see more of it for what it is now, for sure. But it was definitely one of those situations where you just couldn't get a read on the situation. And like I said, since I was undiagnosed, it was already harder for me to read situations. And I could read them, but only to a certain extent.
Right. So do you feel comfortable sharing? Because you said because you were undiagnosed, would you like to share that so that people have context?
So I have ADHD and autism, and I was not diagnosed until I was 14. I am now 15. So very late diagnosis.
Yeah. And so even that, getting her diagnosis, you know, because like she said, that gives us some context for things. Would you share a little bit more about that when you say, like, because you had a hard time picking up on certain things and now you realize that some of that had to do with the diagnosis?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
You're okay.
In general, I guess it was just a bit harder for me in social situations because I never really liked big, large crowds. Now, I was definitely friendly. I was loud. I had a lot going on. But I still couldn't pick up, like, for example, sarcasm. I still struggle with sarcasm to this day. It's like sometimes I'm like, Mama, are you playing with me? Are you serious? Are you for real or are you for fake? You for fake. And I had to learn slowly how to read situations from almost like an overview standpoint and not from my own eyes. Because in my head, I take everything at face value. And so they might be alluding to one thing, but I'm not going to know that. And even just emotionally, since I feel like I'm pretty emotionally intelligent, but I couldn't really fully understand how to deal with others' emotions fully sometimes because I could not read what they needed from me. Because it's one thing like when somebody goes from being angry to crying, when I finally figure out how to help them when they're angry, I have to figure out why they're crying. And somebody else might know why they're crying and they might be able to pick up on that. But in my head, it's like, why? What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And so then, like, if I just kind of walk off, it's like, oh, well, she's really rude. She has no, like, she's so mean. But it's like, I don't, if you're mad, if you were just mad and you're crying now, what does that mean? And then it's like, oh, well, you know exactly what I'm crying about. No, I don't. No, I don't. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I can't, like, you have to help me help you. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not a mind reader.
Right. Right. I also think, too, because we've had this conversation before as well, how because I would hide so much of my own emotions in trying to protect you, mm-hmm. that also wound up being like
my default.
Yeah. And so you that was also a part of why you had such a hard time reading emotions and things like that, because I was really good at masking mine. Like, I always wanted to put on a smiley face for you. I never wanted you to see, and which, now I understand how that was not the correct way, right? That it's important that I show you emotions and that I help you with conflict resolution, that I actually practice emotional intelligence, and that I let you see the different range of emotions that someone can have. And I learned that because of the many conversations and our experiences when your dad and I went through the divorce and mommy passed away, because there was so much that you had not seen. And so you also had a hard time grasping some of my emotions because you had never seen me that way. And so I think that's really important too, is that now I'm unlearning, right? Mm-hmm. I'm unlearning, because this is something I'm still actively working on allowing her to see me in my full range of emotions, and to allow her to be able to participate in this process, but also helping her to unlearn the things that I've taught her throughout the years. Because I think that's also played a role in that as well, because I was hiding so much of my feelings and I would keep so much to myself. And so, unfortunately, I inadvertently taught her the same thing, because I would always tell her, you can tell me anything. My only request is that you do it with respect. Talk to me the way I talk to you. That has always been my only request. Like, you're allowed to share. I want you to use your voice, even with me. I just want you to be respectful. And so I would tell her that, but then I would keep my own feelings to myself. And so, she learned that she needed to keep her feelings to herself, because despite me telling her, you can say whatever you need to say, do it with respect, I want you to share your emotions with me. Do those things. Those were not things that I was practicing. And so children learn more by what we do than what we say. And I think this is a perfect example of that, because I showed her, even though I told her that she was allowed to do these things and that it's good for her to do them, she wasn't seeing me do it in practice. And so she learned by default, Mama said this is okay, but Mama doesn't do it herself, so it must not be. And so I think as parents, it's important that we take notes of those types of things, because our children are watching. They're always watching. And in this grief process and in this healing journey, they learn by watching what we do. And so when we can learn to heal well, when we can learn to navigate this process in a healthy way, we're teaching our children those same things. Because again, we can say it all day long, but if we're not doing it, if we're not living it, then we're leaving them at a disadvantage, because they're going to do what they see us do. It's just as simple as that. And that's one of the things this journey has really taught me with Karys, is that she has watched more of what I've done than she's heard what I've said. And listen, I'm not saying that we're doing this wrong, right? I don't want anyone to feel that way, because we're learning as we go. Because up until my son passed away, I never had a son to pass away. Up until my dad was killed, I had never had a dad to pass away. Up until my mom passed away, my mom had never passed away. Up until I got the divorce, I had never been divorced. Like, I was doing all of these things for the first time and trying to learn how to navigate it. And I'll be honest, these weren't conversations that my parents had ever had to have with me. Yeah. My parents were together 40-something years when my dad was killed.
A good little bit, yeah.
You know? And so my parents had been together since they were young. I grew up with my folks. So I didn't know. I knew people who had gotten divorced, right? But I had never been close to anyone who had gone through a divorce. I knew people who were divorced, but I didn't have anyone that I was in close enough community with that I could have those types of conversations with. And then, you know, there was a certain amount of shame that I had around the divorce and the things that were going on. And then, you know, trying to protect you.
Especially as a PK.
Especially as a PK. And so there were things that I was trying to protect you from. You know, and so there were so many things that I was beating myself up about. There were so many things that I was holding in. And so, but I'm learning now that there is a way to share in a way that's safe. And for me to be able to share information, I know this now. I didn't know this 6 years ago.
Yeah.
But I know now that there are ways that I could have relayed information to you so that you had a better understanding and that you wouldn't have to be confused.
Yeah. And you did do your best to always try to make things like in a kid-friendly, easily digestible way. But I also feel like we have to remember, like, it's everybody's first time on earth. And so, like, when we judge people, you have to have a certain amount of grace. Because it's everybody's first time on earth, unless you believe in the reincarnation theory or multiverse. Like, it's everybody's first time on earth. So anything that happens, it's their first mom dying. It's their first kid dying. It's their first, this is their first job. Like, they may not know how to go about things, which is why you have to have grace. Now, if you make a mistake and choose not to learn from that mistake, that's on you. But it's a whole other thing to learn from that and to continue to grow from that. And I feel like that's something we have to be very intentional about.
I agree.
The continuation of growth and constantly trying to learn, constantly trying to understand, constantly trying to renew.
I agree. Because it's a process. We're always growing, we're always learning, we're always evolving. Yeah. Because the goal is to live life and live life more abundantly. And unfortunately, seasons of grief is a part of life. You know, there's the only guarantees in life are change and death. Those are the only guarantees in life. And so then it becomes, so then how do we live the best life that we can in the interim? In those days that we have, how do we learn to grieve well? How do we learn to heal well so that when we do have these inevitable changes that's going to take place, when we do lose someone that we love, how do we navigate that way? How do we navigate that in a healthy way? Right? And so I think that's a wonderful perspective that you have, that we have to remember that this is everybody's first time. Yeah. It's all of our first time. And so we can only do the best that we can with what we got.
Yeah.
Right?
Like when somebody bad drives on the road, student driver. Student driver. Oh, he's 40. I don't care. He's a student driver for me.
Right.
That helps my mental health.
Right.